As a businessman or as employee, we have always a difficult balance to do in life. It's managing the short term, the mid-term, and the long term. Sometimes we think we're there, and we think we can rest a little bit. But when you rest, you see the train coming. You have to get back on your feet and keep improving. It never stops, because there is always a dynamic world, there's always competitors, there's always inventors, scientists that are pushing the limits. And I think the pharmaceutical industry, as Shonak mentioned, is facing the same dilemma. You cannot rely on what you're doing today. You need to keep improving. And there is a huge challenge in any job is you have to run the short term, but at the same time, you need to get out of the forest to see where you should go, how you will compete and thrive on the market. So it is a very difficult task, but if you don't do it, you're at risk to stop improving and lose your competitive positioning. I know this one might be hard for you, because I think yesterday Australia team won, but I think you still have one match. Huh? So it's not too late, but you need to react. You need to, okay, what do I do to be better? As an India pharmaceutical operation, you did great to position your product everywhere around the world in most countries, but now there is a next step to jump in. Okay, how do you take the market, a higher margin, making more profits, face the competition from other emerging markets that will cut the price and compete your product where you were before. And at the same time, there is product safety and product efficiency. So in innovation, and it's what we're talking about, improving goes by innovation, trying to do something different than you used to do. So to improve, you need to look at the forest, and you need to look at what are the trends, what are the potential trends of either the science base, like in chemistry. Chemistry is influencing the pharmaceutical clinical trial processes, etc. They are major fact, but there is also the connectivity with the patient. In North America, do you know what is the third cause of disease in North America? It's not cancer, it's one of the top two. The third cause of disease are medication error and error in the hospital. Obviously, when you look at that, and for starting in 2016, I tried to look at the forest. So I've met many people in the healthcare industry, discussed with the McKinsey, those in charge of the global vision of the healthcare. And so we made projection also with them, where is the healthcare sector going? And you know also in North America, in Europe, we have a growing problem with the demographic impact. People are getting older and they are not getting healthier. They are getting more and more sick. So you're living the pressure of the price drop that the government need to have, otherwise they won't be able to run the healthcare system. So how do you face that? When you look at how it works, the healthcare sector, there is big disconnected. There is a big disconnect between the scientist, the manufacturer, and the patient and the doctor. Especially in US, I think this is caused by the distribution and also the data protection. You cannot have access to health record, etc., etc. So I conclude with my research that the manufacturers are too far away from the patient. And a lot of casualty in the healthcare system come from the connection. Doctors that don't use properly your product, or there is a adverse effect, or there is a cross effect between different medication. And obviously, we're going toward a more personalized medicine, because now there is the connectivity. So let's go somewhere else. Does someone recognize something here? This is about the visibility that you have on your supply chain and your patient, and the efficiency of your product and the patient. Is your product good? You don't see much. You know, you can buy a study from IMS and others to have a certain view. You can connect to some of your doctors that you are very close, but you're still far away from the patient. So, and it touches also the status of your supply chain. You know, in US, you work with the big distributor. You have a very limited view on where your products are going. What is the inventory level? Is it working well? Is the sales are good? You know it maybe 1 quarter or 2 quarters after. So you need to increase your resolution. So more and more, with technology, you can have a clearer picture of things. So let's get again a little bit more technology. No, still not enough. Okay, let's get another technology. Again, more digitalization of the supply chain, more connectivity, and it can be surprising what you're finding. Does anyone knows now what we're gonna show? Some of you might never have saw that before. Let's get more. So this is Quebec City when I left last weekend. So the image here, probably in India, did anyone saw so much snow in their life here? So this is our typical winter. But in the reality, when you're launching a new product, and when there are also competitors, you need to consider that you might have never saw what's coming. So this image with the resolution factor, I want to bring you to that. To see the unexpected, you need to have a certain resolution. And we believe that the supply chain digitalization and the connectivity toward the patient and toward the different actors in your supply chain will bring you more visibility. So this is what you had. This is probably what you have, and this is more and more what you're going to have. More resolution on your supply chain, your inventory level, your dwell time. And we hope, and I think the healthcare system need also to bring more resolution on the impact of your product to the patient. For those who work in the medical device in Europe and in North America, there is a big scandal related to implant. They found out that there's a lot of implant that should not have been done or were not done properly. So this is a disconnected between the scientists who have developed the implant and those who are deciding to say, okay, this patient is going to have this implant or not. It is estimated for a certain type of implant that 50% of the implant for the knees implant should not have been made. The result was worse than without an implant. This is major. If you don't have the visibility on that, once the data will be connected, some company might lose 50% of the business within 1 year because the data, you cannot hide that. One day, it will be visible and it will be a force that, no, you don't do. Insurance company won't want to pay for knees implant if 50% of the time it's not, it's going to cost them more money after because people still have problem. So the digitalization, it's all about giving you visibility on what's happening, where you need to go, but also the environment. with traceability, this is one example that now that you can track product individually, especially if you have aggregation, you can have an incredible granular view of the product flowing from your line, from one machine to another, into your warehouse, into your DC, and if you have the collaboration of your trading partner, into also your supply chain. And just think, if more and more you could connect to your patient, you could have more and more visibility and use that to optimize, minimize your inventory, so be more agile, be more profitable, because we know an average inventory cost is about 20% of the inventory in general in the industry will be lost. So there is either the return management, they are waste, they are damaged, they are diverted, they are thief, etc. So on average in the industry, it's about 20% of the inventory that will be lost. So if you can minimize and optimize your inventory management, you will gain a lot in profitability and in agility. But to do that, you need to have the data. You need to have the data, otherwise you will say, okay, my safety stock need to be at this level and I hope it's going to be okay. But the more you have historical data, the more you capture the data, the more precise will be your decision. With traceability data, you can also measure the time spent. You can attach temperature, and all of this will be fetched into your dashboard to improve your business. And we think that this will also, and if you connect further, will also bring you more knowledge on this potential disruption that could come. Another big disruption, and people are talking a lot about artificial intelligence, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Artificial intelligence has been there for the last 30 years. You know, when I studied in my electrical engineer, we did some artificial intelligence at the time. But now, already artificial intelligence are already bundled into a standard application. One example that I think is going to be one of the most disruptive in any industry is going to be the chatbots. The chatbots like the Alexa or the Google Voice, etc., are enabling to create relationship with billions of people within a click at a very low cost. So we are entering an age where connectivity with your potential customer or your patient, etc., will be possible at a very low cost. You won't need to hire 2,000 people to make survey. You will launch an application that will make survey automatically and engage a discussion either to WhatsApp or Messenger, and those robots will be gathering information for you to improve your knowledge of your supply chain and any information you want. We're looking to implement even the chatbots on the production line. So now when the line is stopped, you can ask the operator by voice in his language, why is the line stopped? Or in the warehouse, if there is something happening abnormally, the chatbot will automatically make a survey and get this information into one database so that you can explore and understand what happened. So we have some demo running where you can scan a product and the system can go and grab information from the website or from a database to double check the posology or ask a question or give a recommendation and get feedback. And again, all these are surveys that are fetched back to the manufacturer. So this is a big revolution that will help connecting the dot. So I encourage you to start looking at the potential of chatbots, how you can use that within your company or within your supply chain, ideally within your customer. And this revolution will probably lead to gathering so much information about your product efficiency that one day a lot of the decision of which product should be used for which patient will be took by artificial intelligence engine, because they would have collected the information and they'll be able to make the proper decision at this time. So in Canada, we have the chance to have several of the top world researchers, and one of the researchers that founded the deep learning algorithm with artificial intelligence. So we regroup with the help of the Canadian government, several universities with the top researcher on the AI, and it's a cluster of about overall it should be around 1 billion over 5 to 7 years of project, and the aim of this cluster is to deploy the digitalization of the supply chain, and with artificial intelligence enable value and improvement. So all what will happen, it's inevitable. We want to accelerate that and deploy and bring this technology to the market to improve your operation. So it's a very ambitious project, but we have the chance again to be with some of the top artificial intelligence researchers. And of course, we see that traceability solution that most of you are implementing will allow to feed those engines to bring you results. Keep in mind that the traceability project that you're implementing are usually capturing data in a very structured way. So you're following product, and with this product, everywhere it is, you can associate the type of machine, the operator, the time, the geolocalization of the flow of this product. So this is an important information to after feed an artificial engine into being able to determine how to improve or what is the problem, find correlation. When this product comes on this production line, the efficiency is very good, or when this type of supplier goes on this type of product, it's not good. So it will be able to help you make better decisions to maximize your efficiency. So again, data is there. Structured data traceability can bring it. So now we are making the brain of the researcher working to really bring the maximum value for you out of this. At Optel, we always wanted to be in front of the market. We don't consider ourselves as a hardware or machine supplier. We are a solution provider. We want to sell you the best solution and with the best value. And now with that we see more and more the value of the data, we are doing a very strong effort to reduce the pricing of the hardware, because now the hardware become less important. The most important part now will be what do you do with the data that those machines are generating. And yes, there is compliance regulation that you need to do, but I foresee the benefits of traceability and the serialization and aggregation along the supply chain. Many of the manufacturing company, discrete manufacturing company, like in the food, will go with the same type of solution, because it is an enormous business advantage to improve your supply chain, improve inventory. So we have invested in the last 4 years about 40 million to prepare the roadmap for those disruptive technology. So this will bring more transparency to your supply chain. We have included also raw material traceability, because for the moment you're focusing on the compliance, but as Shonak said, there's more and more problem with the API. You have a strong dependency with a limited supplier, limited country, so you'll need to expand that. And there is a lot of recall in the pharmaceutical industry due to the API quality. So you'll need, one day your intention will go also, how do I optimize my API? And some API could be very expensive, so you need to make sure that you don't waste any of those expensive API. So more and more you'll be looking at optimizing the flow of your API, securing the flow of your API. So we have invested also in a company that is specialized in the raw material traceability for this. So we believe and we have invested to stay the leader in the industry to be able to bring you much more than compliance. And a story about compliance. So at the beginning of the regulation wave in the pharmaceutical, I was very happy to say, okay, we're going to serve a purpose. We're going to serve a purpose to stop counterfeiting. You know, millions of people are dying every year because of counterfeited product in India, in Africa, in South America. And strangely, it's not a big problem in North America or Europe. The big problem where people are dying, it's in low and medium income country. And when we looked in detail about the regulation that was required by the government, it won't stop counterfeit. It will stop a little bit, but it won't stop completely. The only way to stop counterfeit will be to reach out to the patient, allow the patient to authenticate his product. But just think about that. If this is the solution for counterfeit, this is also the solution for real-time pharmacovigilance, for real-time monitoring of disease, etc. There's a huge benefit to connect to your patient, and they will have more and more have to scan their product to authenticate. But once they authenticate, especially with the chatbots technology, now you'll enter in conversation with them. So there is this transition that need to happen, that will happen inevitably if we want to save those millions of lives, but this will create enormous opportunity to improve your product and even feed your scientists on the real data that come from the market. So we believe in it. We have invested our profit from the last year into that, and we look forward to open your eyes on the potential of the digitalization that's happening, and hope that it can serve the Indian pharmaceutical industry to stay competitive and win the next cricket game against Australia. Thank you very much.